discussion on retirement living. Thank you again so much for joining us today. My name is Jane Rondgren. I am the Community Relations Director, and I think I have seen or talked with many of you whose names I see on the screen today. I'm going to be your initial host today, kind of a co-host before we get to our moderator and host of the event. Many of you have perhaps visited the Lakeshore previously. For those of you who are less familiar, I would like to share with you that we are a retirement community that sits on the south shore of Lake Washington, beautiful Lake Washington. We have 156 senior apartment homes offering a variety of studio, one-bedroom, two-bedroom, and two-bedroom floor plans. Approximately 70% of our residents live independently here in our community, and the other 30% utilize our assisted living services. As you know, due to the COVID social distancing restrictions that are existing, we are continuing to try and present things to you, continuing to present to you during this time. We'll be doing presentations via Zoom and many other virtual platforms, including FaceTime, Skype, YouTube, Zoom, as you know, and more. We have been able to connect with residents and prospective residents from all over the country. If you know somebody, or if you yourself are interested in doing a virtual tour or connection, please let us know and we'd be happy to connect with you, if not for a tour, even just to get together like this and have a conversation. Now, before I begin the presentation, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items just to ensure that this is a positive experience for everyone. First of all, we will not be able to troubleshoot your connection on Zoom controls during the webinar, so you'll want to adjust your settings before we get started. All of our participants have been muted from our side of things for starters, and we ask that you leave your computer or phone on mute during the entire presentation. This will help with sound quality and will prevent the presentation from being interrupted. There will be a time at the end where we will open it up for additional questions that are not asked or addressed during this time that we have planned. All right. For those of you who are using video, we highly recommend you put your Zoom screen in the speaker mode. As you see on the screen that I'm showing, you want to make sure that that says speaker mode, or you want to click on that to say speaker mode. If it says gallery view, that means you're already in speaker mode and you don't want to change to gallery view. You want to leave it in the speaker view. Let's see. Questions. If you have questions after the event or anytime in the future, I've got an email address showing on the screen, and that comes to all of us here in the Community Relations office. It is LKS for Lakeshore, LKS_communityrelations@eraliving.com. Throughout today's conversation, we'll first go through a series of questions for our panel. Our moderator may periodically offer the opportunity to ask questions, but rest assured, if you do not have a question that is, or if you do have a question that is not answered, we will get to that at the end and you'll be able to answer those questions. If you've joined us only by phone, feel free to email in your questions after the presentation or get our attention on the phone line. We will definitely, if you email us, respond to you in the next day or two. For those of you who want to ask questions via the chat, you're also able to do that. If you've utilized chat before, I know some of our other events that we've done on Zoom, people have taken advantage of that and sent questions in, but you may certainly do that as well. At the bottom of your screen, if you hover over the black bar, that will pop up and you can click on the chat button and you'll be able to start typing your questions. This will also show you the start video or stop video. If you want to share your faces with us, go ahead and click on that start video on your screen. Here's that beautiful view out the dining room at the Lakeshore. 3 meals a day, sitting in there looking at that beautiful view is a lovely, lovely option. All right, we are just about ready to start, except I messed up my slides. I'll get us back. But before we get started, I wanted to introduce somebody to you, and that is our moderator today is Carolyn. And if Carolyn will wave and say hello, so you got to say hello too. So
hello, everyone. Welcome to our presentation, to our panel.
I think they had to stop sharing. Now there's Carolyn. Wave again some more, Carolyn, will you?
Hello, everyone.
Carolyn is our counselor here, and I'll say more about her in just a minute. But I do want to introduce you to our VIP presenters today. So, going alphabetically, I'm going to tell you the first name of our residents who have joined us, and would appreciate you all giving a wave and saying hello as well. So, we are starting with Dottie. Dottie's there in the red sweatshirt. Give us a wave, Dottie. There's Dottie. Homer Yasui. Can you give us a wave, Homer? Come on, Homer, wave to us. Let us know where you're at. Homer's in there. Can you wave to us? He's there. There he is. Homer, you're on mute. You're on mute. Next, we have the lovely couple, Sarah and Howard, are on your screen. If you can give us a wave, perfect. Janie Cromwell. There's Janie giving us a wave. And then Judy Porterfield is there. And last but not least, the letter L, we have Liz. Liz Bachman, if you can give us a little wave, Liz. There's Liz. Perfect. Okay, back to Carolyn, our moderator. Carolyn is our counselor here at the Lakeshore. She has her master's degree in social work and has been in the field for 40 years, and she's only 45. You're welcome. She has been at the Lakeshore here for 5 years. Carolyn leads and manages our resident and family support program team. The Lakeshore is extremely fortunate to have Carolyn. Many of our communities have a counselor that they share amongst communities, and we are blessed to have Carolyn here full-time at the Lakeshore. So I'm super excited that you get to meet Carolyn today, and she's going to be our moderator, asking our residents their questions. So we're going to get started with that. We'll go ahead, and if our residents can unmute your screens, or if your helper, your standby helper, can unmute your screen, you'll be good to go. And everybody else can just listen. Homer's good, Dottie's good, Janie's good. Sarah and Howard, you're still muted. Judy's good. Liz, are you on your phone also?
It's Zoom for me.
I can help you.
Because they don't ask me.
Liz, can you hear me?
Asking me.
Looks like we got a little difficulty there with Liz's voice connection, folks. Did you call in, Liz? We'll get somebody upstairs to help Liz. And then Sarah and Howard, we still have you on mute. We want to get your iPad or you're on.
Right back. There's Liz. Hi, Liz.
There's Liz. Good. Yep.
Hello.
There you go.
Hi.
And Sarah and Howard.
You want to use my phone?
We'll get somebody there to help you unmute that screen. We'll go ahead and get started with Carolyn, and we'll get somebody downstairs to help Sarah and Howard get unmuted. The rest of you, enjoy the panel discussion, and we will be back with you very soon. Take it away, Carolyn.
Thank you, Dane. You always give a great introduction. Carolyn, yes.
Carolyn, can you still hear Liz? Okay.
Okay, we're good. Everybody is tuned in. I want to welcome everyone. It is so good to see our residents. I miss you all. We see each other at a distance right now. And to our guests, we want to welcome you to the Lakeshore, this beautiful community, best retirement community ever, although I'm a bit prejudiced probably, so I'll take that for what it's worth. As Jane said, I am so fortunate to be the counselor here at the Lakeshore. I am here 5 days a week for general purposes. And I do many things, but one of my roles here at the Lakeshore is to try to get to know each of our residents. I try to welcome our new residents as they move in over time. I try to get to know each of you. It is such a privilege to be around such wise and experienced people. I also, one of my roles is to also sometimes troubleshoot or help as we go through transitions, changes, and even moving is a transition. And so it's one of my favorite roles because when we can talk about the things we're going through and have some support, it makes our outcomes so much better. So with this WISE panel in front of me, let's just jump into things and get started. We want to have this discussion about retirement living. And so if we could start today, honorable panel, with some thoughts that you might have on why you decided to look at retirement communities. And maybe I'd even start with Janie or Judy if one of you's up to me pointing you out.
I'm not sure.
I know
Hi,
that
Judy.
I
I was
had a
going to say, mine was health reasons.
Health
I
reasons for
had
Janie.
a fall. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. So health
And needed
reasons.
help. I couldn't take care of myself.
So Janie's sharing just sometimes life changes and maybe we find we're a little more vulnerable, need some support. How about for you, Judy? What was it like for you? And
And
Well,
my
I had-
daughters,
we had a very good
decided,
friend.
yeah.
who we had lived close to for many years, and she moved to a retirement community downtown. I mentioned it to my daughter, and my daughter, with great enthusiasm, said, "Why don't you think about that, Mom?" And there was I thought, a message in there that I should consider. So we
sometimes
did.
children know, and yeah, we're wise when we listen to our children. Janie, did you have anything else to add?
I was going to say, my daughter, they were near me in Tucson, so they made the decision and they picked 5 places for me to Seattle.
Excellent. So
Decision.
okay, so sometimes we have some family concern that might motivate, some just interest. And how did you know when you were ready to make the move? Does anybody have a comment on that? How you knew that you were ready? Janie's was kind of my health. So Janie say my health changed and my children wanted me closer. That's what Janie says. How about Sarah and Howard? Do you have a comment you want to make about how you knew you were ready to make the move?
Well, the house was too big to care for easily, as well as the yard. And just looking ahead to maybe some problems we might have, we just felt maybe this would be a good fit for us, which it certainly has been for me. Anyway.
Excellent.
How about you, Howie?
Really, I've been coming down here for the better part of about probably 70 years.
Not that long. Has it been here that long?
Hey, 25. A long
Yeah.
time, Howard, right. So you were
Yeah, our
visiting and
friends
seeing. Mhm.
came here. My good buddy was injured during the service, and his wife, I don't remember if his wife
Okay.
probably died,
Uh-huh.
but anyway.
So I think, Howard, you're talking about you saw people making the transition. You and
Yeah.
Sarah had visited the Lakeshore and it just
We
became
lived
a
right up
natural
there.
fit.
And we used to come down and play poker with the fellas that were down here.
Yeah.
Penny Ante poker.
Speaking of poker, I wonder if Homer has any comments about how you knew it was time to make a move here. Not that I think Homer plays poker too, but we have some lively Penny Ante poker around here. Go ahead, Homer. Thank you.
Actually, it was because Mickey found it very difficult to carry the laundry basket down to the basement to do the wash. So I had to do the wash.
So I'm going to rephrase.
That's only part of the reason. She had an incurable disease called polymyositis, skeletal muscle, which made it very difficult for her to go up and down the stairs. And we lived in a three-story building, a home. We had a basement, a living room, and then an upstairs bedroom. And she couldn't navigate the upstairs and downstairs. So my daughters who lived in Seattle says, Mom and Dad, it's time for you to upgrade or downgrade, whatever it's called. So that's what but we did this in Portland originally.
Right.
So we lived in a retirement home in Portland for 12 years.
Okay. And then move closer to your family, to your children.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And one of the things I think Homer and I hear sort of a theme is one of the motivations for moving is love. Homer loved his wife. I know this, and so I hear this theme, whether it's children encouraging. So thank you, Homer. How about Janie? Do you have anything you want to add about your decision and knowing you were ready to move? I think you've been speaking of that, but would you like to add anything else?
Well, my daughters checked out all the places in Seattle, 5 of them. And at all of those places, we went and ate a meal. And if they let us stay overnight, I stayed overnight. And that was an education, especially downtown where the traffic was so noisy. And coming here then with my decision.
Very important. Yeah, very important. That can be your decision and that you can experience it. I love that you all are sharing that. If there's another comment, otherwise I'm going to move on to another question, if it's all right. Did you move out of your house before it was sold? Does anybody have any comments about the process? And had you sold your house? And did you have, I might also add a question, did your realtor have any influence on you, make any recommendations or advice on moving out of your home?
I'd like to say something.
Thanks, Dottie.
Yeah, actually, I've been planning on moving for a long time because thank goodness I'm in good health. But I have siblings here, and my children actually live far from where I used to live. One in Connecticut and one in Southern California. And so I had already thought about what I was going to do, why, and when and whatever. So I had arranged for people to come in and pack my place. And then I had an estate sale, and these people took care of everything. They sold whatever they could sell and then emptied my whole house and did a light cleaning. Then I had my handyman come in and he did some fixing. And then they had the heavy cleaners come in. And then my realtor put it on the market, and in 3 days it was gone.
Wow.
So yeah, that was part of the plan. And luckily it turned out.
And I like what you're saying too, Dottie, about sometimes when we're ready, getting some people in place to help with that.
Right.
Liz, as another person who's relatively new, but no longer the newbie, do you have any thoughts that you want to share, Liz? I see you're on mute. I don't know if anybody can. In the meantime, while Liz is on mute, Homer, Sarah, Howard, Janie, anyone want to pipe in? Oh, there's Liz. Let's let Liz share.
I didn't hear what about moving and selling the house before. Well, the realtor thought that the market was good for my size house and that I should do it this past summer. And it turned out to be a good time, but not because of COVID. And I did move out, but the realtor wanted some things left for staging. So in a way, I moved twice.
Oh, yes.
And Lakeshore accommodated that.
I remember. Yes. Yes. And so you had good support from your realtors. Anyone else on our panel want to jump in on this one?
I moved before my house was sold.
Before. So it can, you can, one of the things I'm hearing from our residents is you can take control. You can begin to make decisions whether you've sold your house, not sold your house. Thank you, Judy. Anyone else? Sarah, Howard, Janie, Homer?
Yeah, we moved before our house was sold. It gave us a chance to do some things at the house that we wanted to clean up before we sold it.
Mhm.
Exactly.
It was a help, and we
Okay.
could move more slowly too, and moving into the Lakeshore.
So for some
Was
of
it-
you, you made it a process and it didn't have to
Yeah.
be. Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I did the same thing. I moved out and then the girls came in and we just went through the same process of having someone come and sell everything off. And mine also sold within 2 weeks.
Wow. Thank you, Judy or Janie. Yes. Thank you. How about any other comments? Otherwise, I'm going to throw you another question. I'm just going to keep them firing at you, keep you on your toes. What surprised you after you moved into the Lakeshore? Was there anything you weren't expecting or anything else that surprised you about the Lakeshore and coming here?
I was very pleased with the welcome that I got when I arrived here. I wasn't expecting, so many people to be so friendly and so helpful. And it's just so delightful being here.
Thank you, Dottie. I always hear that comment, or it's a frequent comment, that the Lakeshore is so inviting. Our
Right.
residents are so friendly and the staff is so supportive. I hear, thank you.
I think that's one reason the transition is easier, because people are friendly, make you feel at home. It's important.
Yes. Thank you, Sarah.
Carolyn,
Yes, Homer.
I have a comment. I was very surprised to see so many Asians living here. That was a total surprise to me.
We're a very diverse community, and I love that. It's one of the things I value so much is our Asian population, our community.
How come Roy isn't here?
He's not-
There's only so much room. Boy, Roy's another incredible resident. So one of the things I think that even Homer, I'm going to borrow off of your comment. We just have such a wealth of experience, kindness, but also just incredible residents that live here. Yeah. Anyone else want to share anything about your anything that surprised you in moving to the Lakeshore?
Yes, I would. I would like
Thank
to
you,
say
Judy.
that I thought I was going to feel more isolated until I found my feet, and that, but I didn't. And it's because of exactly what Dottie said. Everybody just was so supportive, pleasant, welcoming, that I never had that awful feeling that you worry about that you're going to have,
You didn't
being
feel like
lonesome.
the new kid on the block. You felt welcome
Yeah.
to a
Didn't have
community.
that at all.
I love that. Thank you, Judy. Any other thoughts or comments? These are just wonderful. You all are, I just so appreciate your thoughts. Let's jump down to the next one. This is a question I love. What's your favorite part of living in the Lakeshore community?
The dining room.
The dining room, a beautiful view, beautiful setting,
Beautiful.
amazing amenity. Thank you, Judy.
I enjoy the group activities, particularly
Mhm.
the holidays and all the group things we did before the pandemic,
Yes.
to come together and really enjoy what was going on as well as each other. And life enrichment brings so much to our rooms all the time that yes, we've missed it, but it hasn't hurt. But it's a group activities I really enjoy.
Yeah. So Janie, I've got you're also commenting that life enrichment, that our departments have really tried to adapt during COVID and bring
Yeah.
these things in new creative ways to you all. Can I put you on the spot of what your favorite program or activities are, what you look forward to when you mention like the holidays? And anyone want to throw something out?
The music.
The music.
The music. So many musical programs.
Yes. Yes. And a great variety, I think. Judy, go ahead.
Well, prior to the virus, we loved the holiday brunches and dinners, the musical programs. I loved the classes. I had never done watercolors in my life and found out I adored doing it, all those kinds of things. But since we've been under kind of lockdown, it's been amazing that I don't feel more isolated, because there's always somebody at the door, or there's something going on, and when the weather's nice, music outside. So I think the staff has done marvelously keeping us connected while we've been disconnected.
Thanks, Judy. Yes.
Good job.
We're always trying to think outside the box, and a great partnership sometimes between residents giving us suggestions and staff trying to implement. Other thoughts before we move on? How Homer? Sorry, I'm all stuttery today.
I love the luau. That is
Ah,
outstanding, but also I love the intellectual stimulation of the current events run by Jacob Bulletin. Then
yes.
I like the men's group and luncheon that's run on Saturday by
Yes.
Cliff Warner. Then I also like the various musical programs. They're great.
Thank you. You all are really bringing out sort of this variety, whether you want intellectual, whether you want music, whether you want some social. We have a little bit of everything for everyone. Judy, you mentioned learning to paint and opening that door so we can open new pathways in our brains and our
But
interests.
book club, don't
Book
forget
club. Book club.
and women's group.
And women's group. We're up there too. Yes, thank you. Any other thoughts? Sarah and Howard, I don't want to, Liz and Dottie, any comments before we move on? I don't want to leave anyone out.
I
Well, I
like the
think-
sit and stand
think-
I
exercises.
like,
Oops, let me
like the
call on Dottie
landscaping.
or Liz. Okay. Sorry, Liz, go ahead.
I like the landscaping is beautiful here.
Oh, the
And
setting.
I
Beautiful.
like my apartment.
You like your apartment. And we're
I
going to get
wanted
more to the
A clean,
apartments here in a minute.
attractive place.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Dottie, do you want to go? And then I'll come back to Sarah and Howard.
Yeah, I love the sit and stand exercises on 370.
Yes. So our in-house channel, we have an in-house channel that we're bringing all these programs to our community. Thank you, Dottie. Sarah and Howard, do you want to?
Well, we've enjoyed the programs that come from the University of Washington, and we miss that.
Uh-huh.
But I think the choices of things here it's remarkable. There's such a variety in your things that you really never thought much about before.
Right.
So,
right.
yeah.
So we can
all-
explore old interests, but we can also have some new opportunities. What are some of the activities, and we really actually have just been talking about that, the activities that happen here that you enjoy. I think we've maybe sort of highlighted a good number, but is there anything else that comes to mind as far as the activities or any of the support that you want to comment on that you haven't already?
The exercise programs have been terrific. You can do them in your room or you can do them on the TV. It has been so good.
And when we can meet
Because
as a
active.
group, we do them in person. So thank you, Janie. You're so right. We adapt and we can still move and do our exercises, and you can adapt to your individual need. Liz, did I see you wanting to make a comment?
Well, I probably wouldn't have come here, but were raised beds.
The
And I like
our
the
pea
raised beds.
patch, we call it our pea patch, the flower beds. So everyone who would want one can ask and request for their own little spot of earth. And then I've also noticed it's a kind of a community affair that people come out to look at the beautiful flowers and the tomatoes. Thank you. How many of you have a pea patch area? Can I just get a show of hands? If
I did have, but I had to give it up.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments on activities? I'm so glad, Liz, that you brought in the pea patch. It's a beautiful amenity and area of our community. And so I love that you're kind of commenting for our guests today that probably anything you loved at home, we have a bit of a reflection of that in our community for you to join. If I can move on, if I'm not interrupting anyone, I'm going to move us to talking about our dining and kitchen. Some of you mentioned that already, the beautiful dining room. I'm wondering your experience, dear residents. Has the kitchen been able to accommodate any food allergies or maybe food preferences? And have you ever talked with our dining and culinary teams around your food preferences or needs? Anyone
I
want
love
to?
I love the way that the dining staff and the kitchen staff try to accommodate your preferences. Many times when they offer fried rice with the Asian meals, I always opt for my Japanese rice, my sticky rice, and they're always so nice about making sure I get my rice.
I love that. And may I just jump in with a little story? Do I recall, Homer, that you gave our kitchen some instructions on making good sticky rice?
I remember that.
Yeah, we had conversations with that. We went around and around and around. And finally, one day, I was invited to the kitchen to see how they made the rice. And to my great surprise, I found out that they steamed it. I had never heard of steamed rice before.
It was there that way.
5 different things, and they were all pretty good. Why don't you make it very simple and buy a rice cooker? Any fool can use a rice cooker. They said, well, we do have a rice cooker, but it's a 60-pot rice cooker. It makes too much. I said, well, don't make it for 60 people, make it for 20. But
Yeah.
I don't think it occurred to me. Anyway, they bought a new rice cooker. And ever since then, life has been happily ever after.
I love it. I hear good comments on the rice. And so I love this story because it is such a collaboration when we live in a community and we share and we share our wisdom. Thank you.
Well, I want to say thank you to Howard because I love my rice.
Yes, yes. Homer set us
I mean,
up well.
I'm
Homer.
sorry, Homer.
Yeah.
Thanks, Homer.
Other comments on your experience with culinary and dining services meeting your own preferences and needs?
I like the ice cream.
The ice cream. Howard, well said. It's a favorite.
Howard has them trained in the dining room.
See, they know your preferences. You want to
Yes.
talk about that, Sarah?
He doesn't
for a
have to
minute?
tell them just one ball of chocolate and one ball of vanilla. They know.
Okay. So our dining staff really try to know our residents and really
Yes,
want to know
okay.
your preferences, and will sometimes even be a little bit ahead of the curveball and being right there for you with your preferences. Thank you, Sarah and Howard. Other thoughts?
There are so many of us that are lactose intolerant. And once we started telling them, then the ice cream was available to us all the time. So it was great.
Thank you. So you've seen our teams really, the culinary and dining team really responding. If they understand there's a problem or something missing, your experience has been that they step up and try to find a solution.
And
Thank you,
this
Janie.
is
Great example. Judy.
and this is a kitchen that can really cook salmon, not overcook,
Mhm.
Oh, man.
just
It's
perfect.
true.
I have
Yeah.
heard that. That's one of their best dishes. Thanks, Howard. Yes. Okay.
It's always good. They
Always
know how to
good.
do it.
Mwah. Our hat off to the chef. Any other thoughts? So I want to keep us moving so we don't run out of time. We have a few more questions we want to try to cover. And the next one is one of my favorites when I when I meet new residents. I try to always ask you, why did you choose the Lakeshore? So I want to ask you today, why did you each choose the Lakeshore? What stood out to you? Or Sarah?
I can tell you that we came here because we've heard so much about this place from Beth Griggs. I've known Beth for years, and she's been talking about Lakeshore for years. So
okay. You and Howard both. I really love that you just knew people and this was a community as part of your community here in the
and also this is our neighborhood. This is where we live.
Your neighborhood, yes.
Up the hill. So the whole area was not new to us. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Sarah. Other thoughts, Janie, and then Liz.
I
like
tried
the connection with
5
the
places.
University of Washington.
Just a second,
And-
Janie. Let me have Liz. Just a second. Sorry, we have a little technical difficulty. So I'm going to call on Liz. Go ahead.
I like the connection with the University of Washington Medical School and the fact that there was a nurse on duty all the time.
Thank you. So the attraction of having a nursing staff available, as well as, thanks Liz for bringing that out. We have a collaboration, a partnership with University of Washington, particularly in nursing, social work, pharmacy, and memory, many areas. Thank you. Janie, let me turn to you. Thank you for your patience with me.
Well, I just thought when we ate here, girls, and I, the dining room was lovely, but it was the availability of really good food that made a difference to us. And the other thing was a peace and quiet. I wanted that, but I would hear the birds, and
Ah,
it's wonderful
I know
to
you,
hear the birds
you,
and see the green.
you have a great
It's
patio.
the
Yeah,
third
many of
thing
you
I,
do. Hmm.
the
It's
other thing I
like,
had checked on before I came here was to make sure that they had church services. And they'll either take you out or people come in. So that was another plus for me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So you get supported too in making those connections that you need to make in the community.
Yeah.
Judy, was it you that had a comment? I might have. Okay,
yeah,
thanks, Judy.
it's that
Pop it.
it's that old real estate saying, location, location, location.
Mm.
I agree. I love
We,
coming here. Hmm.
yeah, we lived not very far from here, actually in the same zip code. And from our deck, we looked at Lake Washington. So when we came here now, we still look at Lake Washington from our apartment, and it feels good.
Felt like you brought a piece of your home with you. I
Yep.
love it. Any other comments about why you chose the Lakeshore? Dottie, did you have anything you wanted to add? I don't want to leave anyone out. I think everybody's
Most
okay.
of it was reputation. I
Reputation.
have a good friend that I went to high school that lives here. I've met people that knew people when I was growing up here, and it's like being home, and the cleanliness and the whole atmosphere of the Lakeshore is just wonderful.
It is amazing, our team and the care they give to this community, and the grounds, as well as our inner life. Thank you. Kind of shifting to the process of moving in and getting set up, I want to ask you all, how long do you feel like it took you to adjust to your new space and lifestyle? Some of you sort of spoke about that a little bit earlier. I think Judy, you kind of commented about you didn't go through that expected time of loneliness and transition. It was almost like a very fluid move in for you. But how about any of the rest of you as well, or other comments on your adjustment and getting used to a new space and a different lifestyle?
When I moved in, there was only 2 places available. And I took one of them and I was unhappy completely for about 3 months. And in that 3 months, they allowed me to look at every space that opened up
So
and make a decision on moving to a bigger space with more sunlight. Yes.
thank you, Janie. So I'm going to put words in your mouth, Janie. I'm just going to admit it at the front. You have found the staff to really try to respond to your needs. And if there was something you were not happy about, they were really responsive.
They
Thank
were
you.
great.
Thank you. Any other thoughts from our esteemed panel? Liz?
It's just that COVID has made a big problem with
It
getting
has.
adjusted.
It has. How do you have any comments, Liz, of moving in and the support, or how it's been adjusting in this very unusual time and difficult time?
Well, I have appreciated the staff, and I know them better than I know the residents because I see the staff, but the residents are all in their rooms.
Right. And Liz, can you share with us about when you moved in, just so that our audience has a perspective of, because you kind of moved smack in the dab middle of all this.
Well, my family moved me in, and you were willing to have people in my apartment who unpacked things,
Yes.
and that helped a lot.
Okay. Have you been here
And
since
then I
about?
went back.
Mhm.
My things moved in July,
Okay,
but I
thank you.
didn't move in until August to
August.
stay.
Okay. And then Dottie, may I put you on the spot and ask, I know you're our newest move-in on the panel, not the most recent move-in, but how long have you been in the community, Dottie?
I've been here almost 2 months. It
Okay.
took me mentally and emotionally, it took me 1 day to realize this is my home. But yesterday I broke down my last box and unpacked it. And so it's been like 2 months physically for me to get used to it.
Yeah.
But
I
I'm
love
good.
that you remind us it is a process, but also I hear in you and yours and Liz's comments that just the warmth, even though things aren't normal and you maybe can't be getting to know everyone as much as you'd like to, you've felt that warmth and that support. Any
You
other?
know what?
Judy.
You know what I really miss during this lockdown is I miss getting to know those enchanting young people who served in the dining room. I see some of them when they bring us our meals. They're just darling, and to watch them grow and mature and wish them well as they move on to other jobs with more responsibility, it has been a treat.
Kind of like seeing your
know why.
grandchildren or great nieces
It
and
is.
grandnieces
I
graduating.
agree.
I love you're bringing out that bond that begins to develop. And
Yeah.
yeah. Any other thoughts? I'm going to move us on, moving us right along a little bit as I'm watching the time a bit. So I want to ask, what do you know now that you maybe wish you would have known before moving in? So if there's any words of wisdom that you could share. Janie, I'm going to point to you at this moment because I think you maybe had some comment while everyone else is thinking, not to put you on the spot, but.
I felt so, I moved and finding a doctor that I was happy with and a service I was happy with and insurance that I was happy with. That took me almost 2 years.
That's complicated,
that
isn't it? Especially if
done.
you're moving out of state. So maybe getting some
And if
help
I
with
had
that or, yes, and even
ahead of time, yes.
okay. Sometimes our community health team is helpful with suggestions, ideas, other residents as you network. Thank you, Janie. Other thoughts about things you might have wished you had known that you know now that you wished you had known when you moved in?
I moved some of the wrong things, but yeah, I think that happens to everybody.
You wish you'd had a crystal ball.
I brought things I didn't need. I left behind things I wished I had.
Yeah.
So it just points out the need to just think and remember, you're not going to get rid of anything you can't replace.
Thank you. No, I think letting go is really tough. Letting go. Thank you. I'm going to move on to our next question. I'm just glancing. Okay. What word of advice? So following up with that, now you can be the wise people that you are. What words of advice do you have for someone thinking about making a move into a retirement community?
Make the decision while you still have the choice and circumstances don't dictate it. That is the most important thing.
One of the number one thing. Well said, Judy. Other words of advice?
Go to the Lakeshore and live by the lake.
Best place on the earth. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Liz, please. Thank you so much.
I think it helps to keep your possessions lean and clear out things all along that you don't want to keep forever.
Okay. So don't be
Just
afraid
because you
to
have
edit.
room enough. Right.
Thank you. Don't be afraid to let go. Don't be afraid to open a new adventure, is what I'm kind of hearing in there. Thank you. Other thoughts from our panel?
It won't be what you expect.
Pardon, Judy? Say that again, please.
It won't be what you expect. We all go into new situations with real firm expectations. We know it will be X, Y, or Z. It's not going to be. Let go of that. There's going to be great surprises and there's going to be some disappointments. It's like everything else in life.
Those are some of the best words. Wow. You see, I told you all, you're the wisest, and you are.
Sounds like Kim.
Age
Thank
does it.
you. Adding on to that, so please, if you have other comments about advice, I'm going to throw in this thought. Assuming you moved from a larger space to a smaller space, which I think everyone here did on our panel, how did you manage? So following up with Judy's comment and Liz's comment, how did you manage getting rid of what didn't fit, and how did you decide what to bring?
I think that was one of the hardest things to do.
Thanks, Sarah. Yes.
To let go of some things, and there's some we haven't yet.
So
Uh,
it's a process.
It's still working
You're
on
still
that.
sorting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
then
I'm
realizing that
still,
there's not room for everything.
No.
Can't take
And
it
so
all.
it's a work in progress. Thanks, Janie. Go ahead.
I'm still getting rid of stuff because it's still in boxes and packed. And what use do I have for it?
If it's been in a box for a while, that might free the mind to say, well, I can let it go. I haven't used it in 10 years. Or
One
thank you,
good
Janie.
piece of advice I got was, if you feel like you can't part with it, take a picture of it and you'll have it with you.
Oh,
So there's ways we can make a
Yes.
bridge, Judy. Thank you. We can share our precious things. We can take pictures. We can move some of them. And then one of the things I'm hearing you all say, it is a period of adjustment. You may find you brought some things you don't want. And yeah, any other, Dottie, do you have a comment, please?
Yeah, what do you do with good stuff that you don't really want anymore?
Goodwill.
Goodwill. And we have a whole series that we often do at the first of the year on simplifying our life. I could use the C word called clutter,
Yeah.
but clutter, yeah, and what do we do? So that's an ongoing discussion. Thank you, Dottie. Yeah.
And I have 3 bags ready for the great blue bus. Is that big blue truck?
Me too. I have 2 boxes.
Okay, that's our Lakeshore tradition. We support each other to set ourselves free of unwanted items. And we
And
actually
remember, everything you have to hang on to is a foot you have in the past.
Ooh, so
Oh,
letting go helps us to move forward. Everything we hang on to is a foot in the past. Wow. Yes. Thank you. Other comments from our panel? Homer, do you have anything?
Nope.
Okay. Last question, and then we're going to have a few minutes to kind of open it up and turn it back to Jane. At the time you started looking at retirement communities, what did you feel was the most important aspect or thing to you? And after you moved in, did you find those things were still the most important? I think this is a great question following up our discussion on items and sort of that change in perspective that can come. So what was most important to you in a retirement community? And after you moved in, did that perspective change?
I had to be able to bring my pets.
Your loved ones, okay, your pets, and they've adjusted well.
Yes.
Being close to my kids.
Being close to your kids. Thank you, Homer. Absolutely incredibly important, those connections. And even if we're not being able to see each other as direct face to face right now, those connections are so incredibly important and right there for you. Thank you.
Well, this was a familiar place for us because we just lived up the hill about just a few blocks. So we knew this area and had been here a long time.
So the comfort, the kind of familiarity, the comfort
knowing the area. I've talked to people that moved here from far away and have no idea which way to turn when they went outside.
Right.
So we're lucky in that respect.
Okay.
And
then,
made the choice.
Thank
and
you.
Our kids are close by too.
Yeah.
Another thing.
Okay.
That was important to us.
And I think 2 of you, I'm sorry, Dottie, I may not know. I think, did you move from out of state? I think 2 of you were local to this area. I'm thinking the others of you moved a distance with Olympia being the closest distance. Am I correct?
yes. I came from Alameda, California.
I thought it was a bit of a distance. Thank you. So even if it's a new neighborhood, it is something that for some reason can or that feels comfortable and So I just want to point that out, that for those of you who were in the neighborhood, it was familiar. But even those of you who relocated, there was some comfort and familiarity, it sounds like. Dottie.
Actually, I was born and raised here in Seattle.
Oh, so you're coming
And
back.
yeah, after 60 years. So
That's a
Yeah, I
ways,
was-
a time to be gone.
I was 20 when I left and I'm back.
Thank you. We're glad you're back. Glad you're back. Any other comments? Any other words of advice or comments about your viewpoint on moving and those important items? Well, let me thank, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Jane. I want to thank our panel. You all are all incredible. You have my utmost respect always, and I hope you feel that. Jane, do you want to jump back in? And
I would love to,
thank you.
So thank you to Carolyn for hosting and moderating. One thing I would first like to do is invite anybody who is on mute. If you do have some questions you'd like to add someone on our panel, you could ask them. Feel free to unmute yourselves and ask any questions that you might have. Is there anybody that has any questions? Albert, do you have any questions, Mr. Moore?
Well, no, but I would like to say thank you, those folks that agreed to do this. This has been extraordinarily helpful to me personally. So to each panelist, thank you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well-
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I appreciate that.
No, he's a participant.
That's great. Anybody else, any questions or comments?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a question for Homer.
Homer,
Homer, did I understand that you said you get sticky rice with every meal if you want it?
Can't understand the question.
Would you, he's asking if you're able to get rice with every meal if you'd like.
No, don't get it every meal. And besides, we get it in different shapes and forms, and it's not always the same. White rice is always great.
Always.
Thank you.
Always great.
all right. Anybody else?
Oh, I have another one.
Okay, sure.
How often do you get fish? Salmon.
That good
Not
salmon.
often enough.
Okay.
Well, I could answer that
Sure,
one.
Bill.
There's fish every Friday and there's fish always available as an option every day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Yes, you
It's
can
not
have
always
fish.
salmon.
okay.
It's
Yeah.
not.
The
And then for
cooks
Sarah
are
and
really
Howard.
good with
I'm
cooking
sorry.
fish.
For Sarah and Howard, I have a question too. What's it
And-
like? I like to go for walks. What's it like up the hill there?
What's it like?
It's a
What?
climb.
Up the hill. You said you lived up the hill. If I walk
Sarah and
you know,
Howard.
from there up the
Uh-huh.
hill, what's it like up there?
Well, I walk up the hill fairly often. And once you get up there, it's on the level, but it's a little hike and I feel it's good for me. And it's a nice walk.
Okay.
There-
Thank you.
Although
Do that.
it's a beautiful walk just around these grounds without going out and above of the hill.
That's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of walkers in our community. Some go out in pairs or in small groups. They'll drive to areas to go walking. Our life enrichment team will provide transportation to places such as Jean Coulon Park or other areas where you can get a nice walk in. And then we have a great walking path around our community, as Carolyn mentioned, that actually just 2 weeks ago got completed. So it used to get you about 95% of the way around. You'd have to either turn around and go back the other way, or you'd come inside the building one door and go out the other. But now you can walk all the way around the building. So we're very excited about that. That's a great opportunity for folks to get some nice walks in as well.
Is that finished, Jane?
It is.
Ah.
It is. You should be hearing more about that very
Good to
soon.
know. Well, we have two nice parks to walk in too that aren't too far or like to have transportation. There's Coulon Park, which has a walkway along the lake. It's wonderful. And there's also the Cedar River Walk, which is also a nice walk.
Mhm, it is.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Not for me.
This is fun. I think we need to get together just to hang out and chat.
Yeah.
The painting classes, do they, anybody to show you how, or, you know,
How to what?
I would need a lesson to paint something that.
Lessons?
would
Yes.
Oh,
show.
yes.
Yeah.
We had an instructor at our art class, of course.
Oh, okay, okay.
A lot of in-house artists as well. You know, we have a lot of art up in our community, and we have both professional art and semi-professional or professional with our residents. We just play both, and it's great. A lot of great artists in our community. We love to share their art on the walls as well.
And one of the wonderful things before the quarantine is every quarter the art show openings.
Yes, we would have an art curator that our community would work with, and she would come in and change all the art out. We have once she does that, we have a nice little art gala with the artists that come in, tell us about their art. We have little appetizers and happy hour to celebrate that and enjoy the art as well. And then again, at the same time, we will rotate out resident art in the communities as well. Very important piece.
Okay. Good, thank you. Good.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been awesome. And Mr. Moore, I kind of echo your thoughts. I think this is one of the best ones that we've had. I'm glad that you found it very informative, and I hope everybody here joining us today also found at least one or two things that you learned and enjoyed, if not a whole hour's worth of fun new information. So this is great, and we'll have to get one of these going again. Maybe in a few months we could do another one. Great turnout. So again, I want to thank Carolyn, our residents, Homer, Dottie, Janie, Liz, Sarah, and Howard, Judy. Did I get everybody? I think so. You guys were all great. I really appreciate your willingness to participate in this. It's a new experience for a lot of people, and we kind of talk over each other sometimes. This is usually easier in person when we do it each year, but as we all know, we're all learning these new ways to do things. So I think everybody did a great job, and hopefully you're all able to hear okay. If you have any questions after the fact, feel free to give us a call here at the Lakeshore. Ask for the community relations team. We're happy to take your questions. Happy to set up video tours or anything else that might be on your mind. So we're going to have Lexi from our team send out a survey to ask you about today's Zoom presentation. And as you know, we're still experimenting with optional ways to present information to our friends outside the Lakeshore, but due to COVID restrictions, we want to hear from you as to how we can make this an even better experience. So again, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you on our next Zoom presentation. Stay tuned. Those notices will come out in your email. And again, if you or someone you know is interested in a virtual tour or want to talk more, please feel free to contact us here at the Lakeshore. If not, thank you so much for joining us, and have a lovely, lovely day. And happy holidays, and have a nice Thanksgiving next week as well.
And you too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Everyone.
Bye.